يا مصريين، يا أردنيين، يا يا ليبيا، يا جزائر، يا تونس، يا مغرب، يا كل الشعوب العربية، يا كفار، يا عالم، يا عالم متنا من الجوع، يا عالم متنا من الجوع. افتحوا المعبر، الناس ماتت من الجوع، احنا متنا من الجوع يا عالم، يا عالم متنا من الجوع. وصل صوتنا يا عمي، متنا يا عالم من الجوع، يا عالم بكفي، يا عالم بكفي، والله العظيم بكفي.
Fair use disclaimer. This video is for educational, commentary and news reporting purposes only. It may include short clips, images, or quotes from third-party sources related to politics, news and sports, which are used under the principles of fair use as outlined in Section 107 of the U.S. Copyright Act. These materials are not intended to infringe on any copyrights and are utilized solely to provide analysis, criticism, or discussion on public interest topics. No copyright infringement is intended.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What is up? What is going on? Salute to everybody in the building, everybody in the chat currently. I already see my girl, VKB. Thank you so much for coming through, sweetie. Please smash that like button. If you're new to the channel and you're watching the playback or you're just coming in, please hit that subscribe button. Give Democracy 101 as well as, give Democracy 101 the support, please. I'm trying to run this thing all the way to the top. I'm also trying to become a more influential part of the pro-democracy movement. Our country is obviously on the line. We see who is in charge of it. And we need to have voices such as myself, such as ASC, as well as others who are unapologetic about being, I'll say liberal Democrats in terms of we want freedom. We believe in freedom for everybody in this country. So please smash that like button and subscribe, man. Show the channel some support. ASC.
Yeah, bro.
My brother, how you doing?
I'm doing great today, man. I'm doing great today. Looking forward to this discussion and everything that unfolds from it.
Most def. We are going to get into it today. You already see, if you're in the chat, like I said, I already see VKB. You could already see the background I have up here. Now that the shutdown is over and the House is back in session, we are back to talking about the knee-deep state. Because these folks are janky, and yeah, they getting exposed. They are getting exposed, AC. But AC, before we go into the knee-deep state, I want to get into another topic, a very important topic. Even though the Epstein files or the Epstein emails rather are the current main topic that everybody is talking about. We obviously have to keep our eyes on ICE and the Border Patrol agents, and the lawless federal troops that we have rolling around U.S. cities. So I want to say this happened this past week. A Border Patrol agent in Los Angeles was arrested. Had a fight with the police, and then a couple days later, he overdosed on whatever drugs he was taking. This was an individual that was walking around with a DHS firearm. So I'm gonna play the news report. We're gonna react to it, AC.
Newly released body cam video showing the arrest of a Customs and Border Patrol agent. Mike Rogers, you worked for weeks to get this video.
So, Mike, take us through what it shows and the tragedy that follows.
Yeah, so this is Isaiah Hodgson. Isaiah Hodgson was a Customs and Border Protection agent, and he was involved in a controversial arrest of a 20-year-old U.S. citizen in a Walmart parking lot. That was Adrian Martinez. Now, the feds accused Martinez of getting involved in an operation, but during that takedown, Hodgson's face went viral. Now that's how we figured out who he was when this happened. Check out this video that we just got from the Long Beach Police Department. The Long Beach Police say that's Hodgson there in the white hat, white shirt. He had pulled out a gun, according to law enforcement, inside the women's restroom at a Yard House restaurant. This is a video from the parking lot when he encountered a security guard who later called 911. This is Hodgson, according to police, putting the gun down by a tree before he is encountered by officers. Now, this is a security camera from the Long Beach Police Department. Next, you'll see body camera video of when they tried to get Hodgson to surrender.
Sidewalk. Hey, don't reach for anything. Get on the ground. Sir, get on the ground. Are you guys stupid? Get on the ground. I'm peeking. All right, well, get on the ground. Get on the ground. Get on the ground now, dude. I'm gonna tase him. You fight. Don't see that now. Get on the ground. Dude, are you stupid? Stop resisting. Get on the ground. I got him.
That's obviously the lengthy struggle that occurred between Hodgson and the Long Beach Police Department. Now, during that struggle, you heard him say, I'm BP, I'm BP. We believe that to mean Border Patrol. Later, when he would be in a patrol car, he began asking for a Border Patrol commander called Greg Bovino. Obviously, they didn't do that at the time, but they did start to go through the gun that they found on him, later found at the tree, which you see right here. When they're talking about the gun, they say it has DHS in front of the serial number, and then officers on scene quickly learn that he's a Customs and Border Protection agent. Later, when he is at the jail, he is having a conversation with an officer about his work as a CBP agent.
You made a mistake.
No, I made more than one mistake, man. And everybody just hates me here. Do you know how many people are after me over here in Los Angeles?
I know.
It doesn't mean no, you don't know. You know what the word doxed is? D-O-X-X-E-D,
No, what is
dude. Doxed. Have you ever had people stand up at your parents' house because you're over here in Los Angeles doing everything, dude? That's the guy I am, dude. There's so many people at LAPD hate us, dude.
Now, Hodgson would eventually be booked into jail. He was later released, and while he was out on bail awaiting his court hearings, he died in a home in Riverside. Now, the Riverside County coroner has not officially determined his cause of death, but tonight the Long Beach Post, who first posted this video, reports that his attorney said in open court that he died of a drug overdose. His family is expected in court in the coming months because his case has still not officially been closed. They may speak at that hearing, and if they do, we will attempt to be there so long as a judge lets us. Guys,
Just tragic all around.
Yep.
Mike, thank you very much.
Well, fuck is tragic about it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. Ain't nothing tragic about that, but before I let you go, AC, I like part of me wants to react like I'm shocked, but I'm not shocked. This is who these people are. We see them all the time on fucking camera. We know that they're unstable individuals who have no respect for the law. And then the shit that makes this even funnier is these right-wingers like to talk all the time about, oh, it's the trans people. Our women are unsafe. These trans people are gonna go into our women's bathrooms and threaten them or harm them. This motherfucker was waving a gun around in the women's bathroom. Like, and then he goes to the jail and he's talking about, man, LAPD hates me. No, LAPD don't hate you. Everybody hates you. You're a fascist. And this motherfucker, I don't got no sympathy for his death, for his family. I don't got none of that for these people. 30, 40, 50 years from now, in our kids' history books, they're going to be talking about the motherfucker, like about this motherfucker, like the fascist that he was. And it brings into questions like everything. You gave somebody who had a drug habit a gun. The federal government gave somebody with a drug habit a gun and a mask to go roaming around in your community. And in this same Long Beach community last week, AC, they had an incident where ICE arrested a U.S. citizen. He looked Mexican. You know how the business is. They slammed him down. His 1-year-old was in the car alone. So the border patrol agent jumps in his car and drives off with the 1-year-old. Bro, I'm telling you, they need to fix this shit. These Republicans, Kristi Noem, Pam Bondi, they are terrified of the Democrats getting back power in 2026. Because we are going to drag them through the fucking mud. They talk about DI. They talk about DI. You gave a drug addict a gun. What's your reaction to this bullshit, AC? Go ahead.
Bro, I'm gonna say it like this. When we heard all the reports of how they were recruiting these people, who these people were that they were recruiting, you feel what I'm saying? When you look at the body type of most of these dudes that they were recruiting, right? It's just hilarious. That's why I'm telling people, and I had no problem saying this when all of this shit was first popping off. Exercise your Second Amendment. Stand up to these cowards. Run up in their fucking face and tell them, I dare you, motherfucker. Tell them on some shit like that. I bet you they back down. Because these dudes don't want to die. And the crazy part about it is, they have a gun on them. You have a gun on you. And you will point that gun, but you will never pull that trigger. Because you're a fucking coward. You just enjoy the threat. Now you're a superhero because they gave you a gun and a mask. But at the end of the day, for me, it's like this. These people are not federal agents. If Americans can understand that, then you know what you need to fucking do to them. Whenever they come in your store, whenever they come into your community, don't take out your cellular phone. Don't start recording it. You feel what I'm saying? Get what you need to get them the fuck up out of there. And yelling shame at you ain't really gonna cut it these days. Because now you're gonna deal with a whole new set of people who think that they're gonna come into this whole thing riding on some old Federalist plan that actually extend from why the Second Amendment came about. And we're talking about militia, not the army. The army came about from militias, from U.S. militia, to protect this country. The Second Amendment tells you that you have the right to gather as a militia to protect the land. So this fucking idiot that's from the Oath Keepers, he wants to pop out right now and say our country is under an insurrection by the Democrats. It's being overrun. Our border is whatever. So your boy Trump is out here telling you the ICE agents are doing all of this great work. They're shutting that. The border is shut down. They're now looking to remove anybody with a sketchy whatever sketchy.
But by the way, AC, they a judge in Chicago with all these snatch and grabs they've been doing in Chicago. A judge in Illinois released 400 people that they were trying to deport.
Yeah, and that's where the law is even saying, listen, the lower courts are like, we're not gonna tolerate this shit. So
You know
if
what
you
what it sound
understand
like, AC? Waste, fraud, and fucking abuse. It's a
exactly,
waste of fucking time and money.
so if you understand that these are not real federal agents and you do what you got to do to them, ain't nobody gonna prosecute you because I can't identify them. I don't know who you are. I can easily use the examples of these fake ICE agents who are terrorizing people, and I can easily say I don't know if you were one of them, and
Bro.
hold that down on court.
Bro, the way how things are going, we are going to have a question to that clause in the Second Amendment about whether we have the right to rebel against an unlawful and tyrannical U.S. government, federal government,
It's not
because
a
that's the whole
question.
point of the
It's not
Second
a
Amendment.
question. It's in clear language when you read it. It's clear language, bro. It doesn't. It's not. It's not an order that needs to come from the president. It could come
Right,
from
but
your own community. Remember the art. Remember the thing
mhm.
that you sent me where it
Yes, the
was
Battle of Athens.
exactly that didn't come from a presidential. That was just veterans, and I mean police versus soldiers coming home. So at the end of the day, it doesn't. We can gather as a community to protect our own homes and community. That's what
Well,
that militia means.
well,
Doesn't have to be federalized.
right. No, and I agree 1,000%. I agree with you. But the thing about it is, that case has not that it there's you can't find an instance of like a Second Amendment case being brought to the U.S. Supreme Court or being brought to the federal courts that involved local people or just regular citizens rebelling against their local government or against the federal
Well,
government. Even with
you
that, hold on one second. Even with that Battle of Athens thing, the federal government did not take it up at all. They said that, and even the governor who realized what was going on, he intentionally held off on calling calling in the National Guard. And because they did not want to answer to that question. They did not want to bring it to federal court. If what these veterans did was wrong, rebelling using armed rebellion against their local authorities. And I think the government wants that ambiguity so that you could feel like, can I really pull my shit right now? Do I really have the right to do that, or should I just let them keep terrorizing me? But that question is going to get answered soon. I just seen last week, there was this immigrant. I think he was working at a health clinic, and then a fucking like 6'3" buff fucking HGH using a border patrol agent walks in masked up, doesn't talk to nobody, doesn't say nothing, and just grabs him. And people are trying to say, who are you? Who the fuck are you? You're not a federal agent. Who are you? And he refuses to answer. He's just trying to pull this guy out through like while multiple people are trying to get between them. Now, if somebody had pulled out a gun and shot that motherfucker because he looked like a kidnapper, and because he himself was armed, and because he himself was refusing to identify himself, like, I think you have a really good case in court that meets that meets the language of the Second Amendment that talks about rebelling against a tyrannical government.
well, you're gonna well, where you're gonna find cases that we're talking about is that many times during you're gonna find them under indigenous court cases. You feel what I'm saying? Because in many instances, indigenous people have shot a federal agent that tried to come on reservations being rogue on some rogue shit, and
Yeah.
indigenous people are just gonna shoot you. They're not gonna ask who you are. They're gonna see you running in the community and be like, okay, let me get my gun. You know what I'm saying? Identify yourself right now, or you will be shot. Dudes like start saying blah blah blah. Wow, it's a done deal. So what for me where I'm looking at it is every state, you feel me, under every state's gun laws and gun right laws, you have a right to protect your commercial property. You feel what I'm saying? You have a right to protect your business. You feel me? And if a mass unidentified man comes into your building and just starts grabbing one of your employees, if you have a weapon, you have every right to use it. And there is no shady areas, because it's going to come down to eyewitnesses versus your actions versus the actions of the person who was standing there doing their job, and this huge mammoth masked man just came up and put hands on me and trying to drag me outside. So at the end of the day, these people know to a certain degree when businesses, you know, tell them to you gotta go, whatever, whatever. you know, they're gone. They pretty much leave. They may try to say, oh, we're investigating. It's like, you have no warrant. Who are you investigating?
Exactly.
So if you have none of that, you got 10 seconds to get the fuck out my store, or I'm gonna grab one of these knives off the shelf and I'm gonna put it up in you. So at the end of the day, whatever happens, as far as whatever happens as far as one of these, unidentified, didn't go through the full process and full training, have no official federal ID. You feel me? One of them dudes come up in your business, handle your business. And it's just about time. We can't let people try to talk in a manner of saying no political violence, and you can't meet no. Sometimes you have to meet it with the way it needs to be met, because I think people may have forgot about the movement. When a U.S. senator had this undercover operation to where he ordered the Air Force to drop a bomb on a block in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And with this administration, you don't think some stupid shit like that can happen?
I mean,
really think about it.
the motherfucker talked about. He stood in front of 800 of our top generals. The top of the top education and experience in our military, and said, "We're gonna use these blue cities as training grounds." We're not too far from that. He called. The bitch. What's her name? Levitt, Caroline Levitt. She was on TV saying that Democrats are Hamas terrorists and sympathetic to drug cartels. They're looking for a war.
And that's the crazy part. They're inciting a war they can't win. The numbers are not on your side. Because look at this. They won't accept the VP's wife. They won't accept the head of the FBI. You think they're going to accept Stephen Miller?
No.
You think when push come to shove, they're going to sit there and want to listen to Pam Bondi trying to tell these grown-ass men what to do?
No.
So at the end of the day, nothing is in your favor. Nothing. The numbers, nothing. Your movement is falling apart. Now the America First people have completely separated themselves from MAGA.
Pretty much, yeah. They breaking off into their own movement. And we're gonna get into it a little bit more, but Marjorie Taylor Greene is completely spearheading it right now.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I've been very impressed. I think that she is trying to pose herself as a moderate Republican, or I should say repose herself, because she's never been a moderate Republican. She has always been the most extreme of extreme on the right. Like Marjorie, if you wanted to talk about a poster girl for the most extremism in the Republican Party, it is Marjorie Taylor Greene. She is now a moderate Republican in this day and age that we are living in. And I think she's trying to do that because she wants to try and run for Senate in Georgia. And Trump didn't give her support. But overall, the biggest catalyst to her breaking off is the Epstein shit.
Bro.
And a lot of motherfuckers are done with the MAGA movement. I wish I had the clip that from Steve Bannon's event that he had a couple days ago. I sent it to you, where the young man who is who voted for Trump 3 times, considers himself to be a MAGA supporter, stood up there and said, "Dude, what could be more deep state than protecting PDF files?" And Steve Bannon was just stumped. He didn't have a response. And then he tries to go to the audience and say, "Well, do you guys think if he doesn't release this, though, what do you think will happen?" You know what will happen. And then we gonna cook on his bitch ass too because he been exposed, AC. But
Yeah, for
uh,
sure. But I missed kind of what you said because a phone call came in, and I was gonna, as I was getting ready to talk, the phone call came in. But look, she's not a moderate Republican. I'm analyzing this America First movement, and I think they're gonna come up with a new term to describe what type of Republican they are. You feel what I'm
but
saying? Just like
no,
we have
mhm.
the Democratic Socialists, they're going to be the patriotic Republicans, or they're going to call themselves Republican Patriots, the America First movement. So there's going to be some places where they can be moderate, but there are also going to be other places where they're going to be extreme because it's all going to fall on the under this platform of being America First and showing your
I,
true patriotism to America.
I call her a moderate because she's talking about healthcare and because she's talking
Yeah,
about taxing. She's one of the first Republicans in years that I've heard talk about taxing billionaires. She said that exactly on the news.
but
So
what
I
I'm
think
saying is
she's
this is
planting her.
where
Mm,
I'm saying to you
yeah,
before, and I was like, you know, Democrats need to be careful because this America First movement, you seeing where it overlaps everybody's policies and some of the main issues. We want better health care. Now you got Republicans talking about better health care. They don't want to get rid of the ACA because it fucks up their district. They understand that, listen, what Mamdani said, as far as just a 2% tax, if we're giving them 35% tax cuts and 37% tax cuts, you can't give 2% of that shit back. So at the end of the day, where all of these progressives, Democrat, moderate, you feel what I'm saying, policies are there. This America First thing addresses all of them on top of it's holding its ground
that
to its extreme views with, okay, we're not going to fuck with any more wars. We're not sending any more money like to fund your war and fund your bullshit that you got going over there. We're not going to get into regime changes like that. Your country fucked up, it's just fucked up.
yeah. Huh.
You know what I'm saying? And Democrats, progressives, Republicans, MAGA, everybody agrees to it. So
Yeah.
this is a scary movement that if it's not just a talking point, if it's not just like some stupid shit that happened with the Tea Party, if it's not, if it doesn't get to to the extreme thing, like when elections start to happen, you getting, these riots and people pushing over cars and all of this. No, keep it political, keep your message on key. You might have a lot of people crossing over or being able to support your candidate over weak Democratic candidates, weak independent candidates, and weak ass Republican candidates.
No, absolutely. And I agree with you. Like they are probably the more dangerous movement that we need to actually combat right now. And when I say combat, I mean in the on the battlefield of ideas.
Yeah, yeah.
Because because I think Marjorie is smart enough to realize that Trump is a sinking ship, that he will probably be gone probably in the next year or 2 years. We just heard news that Trump had a 3 hour advanced imaging MRI, which is not a part, is not at all a normal part
When again,
of the presidential. Hmm?
again,
Yeah, he had another one.
wow, that's the third for this year. That's not good.
I'm telling you. So he's probably going to be gone very soon. Marjorie is smart enough to realize this at this moment. We need, I'm not going to say an extreme on our own side. No, I don't think an extreme left policy will work. But what I do think is we do need something serious. And I've been seeing this floating around social media. It's called Project 2028. We overturned Citizens United, which is the ruling that allows for big corporations to form their own super PACs and to donate to these politicians. We codify women's right to choose. We make that a fucking we run on that as an amendment. Now that might be a little bit too extreme. We'll work that in the next 4 years. Term limits for the Supreme Court. I think I literally think 60% of this country will be behind that at this fucking point. Get rid of the Electoral College. Who wouldn't be behind that shit? Outlaw gerrymandering nationwide. Ranked choice voting on all elections. Return fairness doctrine in media. Universal health care for all. Like these are extreme policies, but if we had somebody like a Zoran Mondani who has that Obama type of it charisma, he could be somebody who could drive this vehicle home in 2028. I don't know if AOC is going to be able to do that. I don't think Gavin Newsom is extreme enough to the left to even conceive anything on this list. But still, I think we do need somebody who I do think we need a heavy hitter for 2028 because I see Marjorie coming. I see her
Now,
coming.
I don't know. The candidate that worries me the most about 2028 is Thomas Massey
Yes.
on the Republican side. Like, if we don't have anybody that could really beat Thomas Massey, because Thomas Massey understands the movements that are underneath. He's not going to come out yet and get behind the America First movement.
I'm gonna be
But
very
he
honest.
looks like
I told you a couple. I think I
he
told you
looks
this
like
maybe
the
a
dude
couple.
that can deliver the message, and then he's gonna have the whole thing where you look at it like this. You're talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Mhm.
Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massey have been together on this Epstein thing, lock, stock, and barrel since day one. They've
Right.
been against, fucking around with the ACA, lock, stock, and barrel. But he's just not saying he's America first yet. You feel what I'm saying? But
Right.
he may never say it, but he will show that he's in line with every one of those policies or any one of those things that can, they can look at. If this is what the left is looking at, where can we intersect and still left votes if they have a weak candidate, and still somewhat deliver on most of this stuff.
I think the
The
thing.
free health
I
care, that's gonna
Mhm.
be kind of like the litmus test on both parties, because if the Republicans just get behind Obamacare grows into free health care. But if they never get behind it and fix it, because that's why it was always broken, because it was supposed to be bipartisan. Remember, it came from Mitt Romney's state. It was a Republican
Yep.
health plan that came from Mitt Romney's state. And Mitt Romney was like, yeah, let's go. We can do it. When he did it, he said, yes, it's the type of program that can be implemented nationally and be the U.S. national plan for healthcare.
We ain't got
When
no
he
more
starts to
Mitt
running,
Romneys.
he then says, no, it was only for my state. It only works in my state. And then the Republicans, for political reasons, didn't get behind it and didn't handle their part, which was supposed to be the financial part. How do we pay for it?
Yes, sir. Yeah, yes, sir. AC. But let me just say salute to my guy B3 Picks. Thank you for coming through, B3. How you doing tonight?
What's good, Mark? I'm in the sticks right now. Hopefully my audio coming through. Can you hear me?
I can.
All right.
Your commanders were belt to ass in Spain. How you like that, boy?
See, here we go.
Three,
Mark,
you can
see,
hear me?
Mark. Yeah, I'm glad that you get a kick out of that. You the type of guy that like to take somebody away from his home country and
Whoa,
make him drink other people's water and
whoa,
make him sleep in a foreign land, and
whoa.
then when you get a win, you bloviate instead of just moving forward. But I mean, that's the type of guy you are, man. You support the Islanders that do that.
Absolutely.
And then you also, I see, you like to kick a black man when he's down. So you at least you being consistent, Mark.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. But in serious note, I'm glad to see you up here, B3. We were just me and AC, we were just touching on the political landscape, but the topic that we started off with before we move on was we were discussing this news story about this border patrol agent who was arrested, had a fight with the police. He was waving around a gun in a woman's bathroom at a bar and grill. They came and got him, and like I want to say, I think the news report said 3 days later he overdosed. So let's
Wow.
make no mistake about this. The Department of Homeland Security gave a firearm to a drug addict. And this individual was then threatening people in a public bathroom and then almost got into I mean, we really don't know what would have happened if the police would have met him at the door to the bar when he had the firearm in his hand. Now, thankfully, he put it down like next to a tree to hide it, and then went and engaged with these police officers. So they weren't harmed or shot or anything like that. But you just think about what could have happened, and this is not the only instance where we see one of these border patrol agents drunk, because we're seeing dozens of videos coming out of them getting pulled over for DUIs, and this is not the only time we've seen them get violent with the police. But what's your reaction, B3, to that news story? Then we'll move on.
Man, it's I'm not surprised, Mark. You know, I mean, it's unfortunate, but I mean, we see crazy things happening on a regular basis in this country. I mean, I wish I could tell you what I just seen. I'm gonna save it for a little later. But I mean, it's people are not using good judgment, bro. That's all I'm gonna say to that, man. And shout out to my brother Marky Dan, man. I'm proud of you, man. You're using your platform for good. You know, I heard you a little earlier. You know, cursing out whites. Uh, you keeping you staying very consistent, Mark.
Hey, no problem, no problem. I try to be. We'll move on to the next topic. This topic, it stays within the political realm, but it touches what we usually talk about, AC and B3, and that is boxing. Um, so for the past year or so, at least since Trump has been elected, something that I've been trying to, at least when I go on boxing channels and we have these discussions about the TKO, about the TKO Boxing League that's going to be supported by TKO holding groups with UFC and WWE. Oh, my bad. Hold on, my bad. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, yeah, my bad. Now, anytime we've been having those discussions about TKO, I bring up the fact that Dana White and Ari Emanuel, I want to say his name is. It might be Ari Shafir, which is the head of WWE. The two of them are best friends with Donald Trump. They are plugged to them at the hip. On top of the fact, a big $30 billion conglomerate like TKO Holding Groups, they have their own super PAC to donate to these politicians. Now, I'm glad I'm having this conversation over here on my channel, because anytime I had these conversations with niggas in boxing, it turns into this thing of, oh, you don't care about the fighters. Oh, why would you want that? I'm just telling these niggas what's going to happen. And the legislation you see right here, HR 4624, House of Representatives. This shit is a proposed bill that's in committee right now. It's on the Committee of Consumer and Consumer Finance, and I forget what the secondary committee is, but this shit is on the floor. And the only reason it hasn't been there hasn't been any markups since July 23rd is because we've been having a bunch of pauses and a bunch of recesses in the House of Representatives. We had like a 5-week recess between July and August after the big beautiful bill passed in July. Then we had the 8-week recess because of the shutdown. Now they're gonna come back. They're back in committee, and they're gonna work on this stuff. But a couple things, and let me pull it up right here. You see in section 24, subsection 2, it talks about it talks about something called a unified boxing organization. And it says it right there. The Professional Boxing Safety Act of 1996, which is the official name of the Ali Act. It says it right here. It's amended by adding the term unified boxing organization, which means an association, a league, or a centralized industry organization in the private sector and it goes into the more intricate legal definitions. But essentially, it's a league. It's essentially a boxing version of UFC. And what this does is it clears the way for TKO holding groups to come in with their Saudi backers and begin buying out the other boxing promoters, like the Matchrooms, like the Top Ranks, like the PBCs, who we know has been struggling recently to get dates for fights, and Top Rank, who right now doesn't currently even have a broadcaster. If this bill gets voted on and passed, it clears the way for all of that. And I just want to say, I hear people, anytime I have a discussion about this, people say, well, that's a monopoly. You can't do that. That's illegal. How do you think the NBA and the NFL got through with their mergers for the AFL and the ABA? They went to Congress, they lobbied, and they got what's called an antitrust exemption so that then they could merge. Oh, let me let my guy B3 back up. But essentially, so that they could merge and not have to deal with any antitrust lawsuits from the federal government or from one of their players or the unions. But this is going to happen. This is going to happen. And the question I'm going to kick to you and to you, AC, and to B3, who is in the back. Let me let him up. The question I'm going to kick to you is how, or rather, let me say this first. I'm not entirely upset that this is happening. For years, I've been talking with y'all, and I've been talking with other people about how I am dissatisfied with what we have been seeing with boxing. I'm dissatisfied with the frequency of when we get not just big fights, but good fights. You know what I'm saying? Like meaningful little matchup, like Abdullah Mason and Floyd Schofield. In UFC, that fight would have been made over 2 years ago. At the very least, a year ago. There wouldn't be no waiting. Virgil Ortiz and Boots Ennis, they would have fought 5 years ago. Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence, they would have fought way before Errol Spence had all those different injuries and whatnot from what he had in his personal life. This is going to happen. Now, the thing that I hear a lot of people complaining about is, well, this makes it harder for the boxers to negotiate for higher purses because it takes away competition. Well, what's next is y'all gonna have to unionize. That's the only way that works. That's how the NBA gets through. That's how their players get through. They got a collective bargaining agreement, and they have a number, which is the shared revenue percentage that their players are guaranteed to get. That is the only way these boxers are gonna be able to guarantee their rights and their protections and their privileges in this new world. They have to get together and they're gonna have to unionize, or else 20 years from now, boxing is gonna be just like the UFC. Only this time, it's not gonna have no other sport for a big time star like Ngannou to go to and make $20 million. You're gonna have to deal with TK holding groups forever. They're consolidating themselves as the NBA and the NFL of sports combat entertainment. So I'm gonna come to AC first. And by the way, I should say I'm gonna post a link to the bill, the actual congressional write-up, so y'all can review it for yourselves. But it does also, I should say, it also includes some guarantees of health insurance and whatnot for the fighters. So it's not completely bad. But I'm gonna come to AC first. AC, Yeah,
Hey,
AC, what's your thoughts on that?
hey,
Go ahead.
I was just thinking real quick, AC. We might need to try to get on the union or form the union or something like that for the boxing. AC probably could get us down with the right people.
I wish I could, but I'm gonna say it like this, bro. Um, for me, it comes down to there are certain aspects of what's going on in boxing right now that just fit in easily. You feel what I'm saying? Um, you still go through, the amateurs and everything. When you become a pro, you still get moved the way you're moved. You're still a prospect, a contender, and then you become a champ or whatever. Now, on that rise, when we look at fighters like Abdullah Mason, right? We've seen a consistent thing with him that made him a star. When you look at NBA players, and the NBA players are in college, which still means the amateurs, you're looking at this amateur dude drop get numbers all day long. He jumping out the building. You like, bro, if this kid stay healthy, the minute he get into the NBA and he get in the first, second, or whatever draft pick, he gonna be a star. Jordan was the one that broke that mold. You feel what I'm saying? Because he wasn't within the top draft and shit like that. So he broke that mold. But what I'm saying is that with these boxers, now it's imperative that you have an amateur career, because your amateur career is going to help give you some leverage. If this is the new thing that's going to happen, it's going to give you some leverage of, your marketability as soon as you step through the door. You know what I'm saying? And then from there, you just build on consistent performances and consistent fights. Conor McGregor came into the UFC, and people were pissed off that Conor McGregor was making all of this money. But Conor McGregor came through the door, and he came through the door with a saying. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here to participate. I'm here to take over. So, and he proved it. He knocked Jose Aldo out in what, less than fucking 40 seconds? So the point is that you have to become the Conor McGregor. You have to have the leverage walking through the door. You got to be that Billy Badass. Now you're gonna have to really take your career serious. No longer are no longer are the days of a guy just really having a low amateur career. Now you can still have the low amateur career, but that means you're gonna your climb to the top is gonna be solely based on your following, how many eyes you bring with you to the prize, and things like that. So you look at fighters like NBA stars, baseball stars, um, boxers sign multiple fight deals. NBA stars sign multiple year deals. You feel what I'm saying? NFL stars sign multiple year deals. You, you know what I'm saying? So um, boxers are doing the same thing. What could happen if there are more eyes on the sport than what's currently happening right now, and it goes back to the days where we can get a billion eyes on any particular fight, then yeah, now you're looking at now you're looking at NBA numbers for a boxer in a contract. You feel what I'm saying? Because we're paying fighters like Canelo $150 million, and you're supposed to have all of this star power, but you and Bud Crawford together didn't bring more eyes than the Jake Paul Mike Tyson thing. And I'm gonna go to the Amanda Serrano fight. You guys did 41. You guys did 41 million. Them chicks did 50 million. So at the end of the day, man, does a dude need to be paid $100 million anymore? When you really, really look at it compared to the eyes that's on your thing versus the eyes that's on the spectacle fight, I would start to question it as a businessman. I'd be like, I don't know if I want to do that because I'm kind of pissed off. I just paid this motherfucker $150 million, and that fight didn't total. It didn't do Amanda Serrano numbers.
But what Dana White do, AC, and I agree with every word of what you said. I think the amateurs And it's a shame because the Olympics are about to be gone in 2028. That could have been and it still can be a huge bargaining piece for the young fighters that are going to be coming in the future, or that are going to be coming in the near future. But damn, what was I just about to say? Damn. Wow. Wow, I'm not even high. That shit just flew out of my head. But B3, I'm gonna come to you. B3. B3, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So what's your reaction to this legislation that will be coming down in the very near future? And where do you think the boxers and the industry of boxing goes when this thing passes?
Well, my hope is that it'll be more competitive. We'll get some of the the fights that we want to see, like some of these young guys fighting earlier in their prime, right? But getting decent pay for it. Not, what it is now, when you're an 8 round fighter or 4 round fighter, 6 round fighter, you might get, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 bucks. But I mean, provided that we're getting, if they do the events right, I mean, it'll be slotted a certain way. And hopefully, they can make some, good, compelling matchups. Now, I feel like we're getting compelling matchups right now, but more so, I feel like that's why I don't want all the belts. I really only want one belt. And then I really just want only one champion per division. That would be that would legitimize boxing 1000%. And like you were mentioning with the union, man, that's a great idea. And I think somebody should get on that immediately, if they're not already. But because at the end of the day, like you're saying, you have to have somebody to be a representation in those meetings and in those rooms, and just to make sure that you're not getting the short end of the stick. So I'm all with it, Mark.
No, absolutely, B3. That's something I hope as well. And I'm interested to see how the TKO Boxing League is gonna be formed. Is it gonna be just like UFC, like what you said with one belt per division? Or is it going to be like I had a concept for this I was thinking about where they make it into a league with a club system, and you have and they could still have Eddie Hearn and Bob and whoever's running Top Rank, and Frank Warren and Oscar. They could have all of them be like club owners, and then you, each of your weight classes, you send out your two best or your three best or whatever the fuck it may be, and we have ourselves a tournament, and that's how we decide who's going to be the champions of each of these weight classes. um One thing about the pay though, and that's when I think that, and that's the one of the main reasons why I think boxers need to unionize if they don't like the pay scale. If you are a mid-major contender, which means you're somebody who's ranked somewhere, it means you're somebody who's consistently in the UFC, somebody who's consistently ranked somewhere between 5 and 15. Dana White says it all the time. He's gonna get you 3 fights a year, and in those 3 fights, he's gonna pay you 200K per fight, and you have the potential of getting a 50K bonus if you're a fight of the night or you have a performance of the night. It used to be he also had the knockout of the night and the submission of the night, but he took that away. So you have the earner potential of $300,000 dollars per fight. Okay, so at the end of the year, you might take home 900K. Now, for a guy that's 20 years old, or really for anybody, that's a lot of money for 1 year of work. $900,000. And then I did some more research before we came on here. Did you know there's not even 100 boxers in the world that's earning $100,000 per fight? B3. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
The
so
average is like 40.
yeah, exactly. So I wonder, man, are they going, if they don't get this union off the ground right now, it ain't gonna never happen. And at
My
that
my
point,
question to
Dana
y'all is
White, Dana White, and I'll let you go, AC, but I just want to say, Dana White will have won, and it will be like one of the most bitter moments for the boxing niggas because Dana White was always that guy that they like to shit on. Oh, your business will never be this. Man, boxing ain't get, or man, UFC ain't coming for boxing, this and that. Floyd said, oh, Dana White, that used to be the dude that carried my bags. They always shitted on Dana White. And now he's about to swallow the entire sport of boxing whole. But AC, what you was about to say?
like what I was gonna say was, for me, it comes to a question of who uh who actually is there and displays enough to actually put together the boxing union. There's only one person I can actually think of. Well, I could think of one person along with someone else. You feel what I'm saying? And for me, people may feel a certain way, but I'm in my mind, if I was gonna think of the person to start it, it would be Sean Tizell or Sean Zell. I don't know how to pronounce his last name properly, but him, because at the end of the day, I've never seen anyone consistently confront Dana White like that, and Dana White was trying to get up under his skin and call him an asshole and everything like that. He's like, sure, Dana, I get it, I get all of that. But at the end of the day, what are you looking to put back? And he stayed consistent, and that's the type of person you would need to get in that office and be like, look, I give a shit about the fighters. You feel what I'm saying? You don't need someone who's going to tell you one thing and then get in that office in front of Dana and them suits and lawyers and then start caving when they tell you, look, here's a team of lawyers. That shit is just not going down. And you just look at them like, yeah, that might be a nice intimidation factor, but we're talking about the health of the fighters. We're talking about this. We're talking about proper pay scales. You feel what I'm saying? You don't have a show and then you're gonna run through talent because people are suffering, and then it's just gonna be, then you're gonna have agencies saying what's going on with this sport. This is an organized sport. We shouldn't have this many injuries. Then you go before Congress and blah blah blah. The fuck is your team of lawyers gonna do then? So it's best just to deal with the shit that I'm telling you right now, and let's get it moving. And the only person I see that's out there that's willing to confront it like that, instead of being on, their podcast in a small little audience talking shit, is Sean.
That's facts. No, I think Sean Zattel would absolutely be the best person to I don't know if they would give him a leadership position in the union, but I think he could be the person to ring the alarm bells because boxers, managers, and fans take Sean Zattel seriously. He
Yeah.
has that type of credibility. And I could see him going out there and maybe calling for a convention, and he invites all the major world champions, all the up and coming boxers, all the up and coming amateurs in the U.S. And he sits them down and he reads out, and he has a lawyer read out the legislation and explain what's going to happen to them and what's going to happen to the industry of boxing
You
in a
giving the
new
game?
world
Hold
that
on,
she
Mark.
can.
Hold on, Mark. You giving the
What
game
happened?
away? You a lawyer? Fuck that nigga. Y'all, everybody always trying to put a white boy in front of you. You a lawyer, man. You do it. Fuck him.
I mean, I ain't a
Yeah,
I'm a
you gonna give him the whole blueprint and let him run with you could do it. That's
this
your
nigga
idea. He don't. This motherfucker ain't no guarantee he want to do it.
This
You
nigga
that
B3.
guy. Fuck that nigga.
Firstly, I'm a paralegal. I'm a notary public. I'm not a lawyer. It's two different things, B3. I told you that before. But in all seriousness, back to my point. And I appreciate you for that, B3. On a serious note. But no, they need to have representation, and they need to sit down and come up with a plan, okay? And then they need to go to Congress and say, what are y'all going to do? And go on the news. And they need to make this message loud and clear. Like, we're about to get fucked over by these billionaires, and our representatives in Congress don't care. They're just ripping apart our industry without hearing our voice. And if y'all niggas got a strike, if y'all hear when that PBC is about to sell, y'all niggas need to strike until and listen. If PBC is gonna sell anyway, then at the very least, y'all need to be at the table when that sale goes through. When all of these sales go through, I could even see like a big time negotiation AC and B3 where Dana White and the Saudis sit all five of the big boxing promoters down and say, listen, we gonna sell, or excuse me, we gonna give the five of you motherfuckers $50 billion. Y'all split it five ways. Give us your assets, give us your companies, rights, copyrights, and all that shit.
So
If the boxers need to have a voice when that meeting goes down. That's all I'm saying. They
okay,
need to
but
make sure they have somebody at that table.
if we're talking about this, right? There's two elements of it that are not being spoken of, and for me, these two elements are something that needs to be addressed, right? Number one, we talk about the rules of boxing, how what's supposed to go down, and enforcing the rules, and if a guy's hugging too much, getting a point taken away, and all of this other kind of stuff, right? We're talking about this legislation for the boxers and this league for the boxers. The one thing I haven't heard that was addressed in this proposal was how you plan to handle referees and judges. Because if you're going to make this thing a real league based on the premise of NBA and NFL and shit like that, then
AC, it does have a provision in there that goes into referees and judges. And matter of fact, I could screenshot that for you, and I could get it up here. But it
but I was
essentially it
just saying
says
I just
it.
haven't had that.
Mhm,
I hear everybody cooking on one aspect of it. You feel
mhm.
what I'm saying? Which then made me say, well, why isn't anybody cooking on the aspect of the judges and refs? Because that's just as important. Because if you have a judge that's a known person that's said racist things, you feel what I'm saying? No matter
Right.
what nationality the fighter is from, they've been known to say racist things, and this fight is in that country. How can that person judge this fight? You feel what I'm saying? That's a direct conflict of interest to the venue, because then it's saying that, hey, hold on. You feel what I'm saying? Because me watching the Mexican card the other night, one guy, uh, he was he was fighting the Vargas, one of the Vargas brothers, and the way he kept on going into his defense, he would swivel his head in a weird way that almost makes it impossible if you're throwing a hook not to come close to the back of his head. And he's just complaining, back of my head, back of my head, back of my head. And it's like, bro, it's, the ref now is coming at Vargas to where Vargas had to take some of the steam off of what he was doing, because he don't want to get points taken away from hitting this dude in the back of the head. And I've seen fighters at times use the ref to complain, and sometimes it may just be some weird shit. You feel me? Because then the champion fight, dude is banging him out in the corner, and the ref just stops the
Oh,
fight.
whoa, AC, that sounded crazy.
No, I don't mean like that. I mean no Diddy, but I'm
I
just
know, I
saying,
know, I know. I'm being an asshole. Go
lumping
ahead.
him up. He was catching that tall ass dude. The little Filipino dude was catching him, and the ref just jumps in and just says, break it up, break it up. And I'm like, what? He caught this dude 3 good shots, and now you giving him no. The officiating, no. So we've seen these atrocious calls from refs and judges and stuff like that. We complain about stoppages. I just want stuff like that to be addressed as well, if we're gonna call this thing a real league.
Well, I think we might be able to get some consistency with the refereeing if at least if they go through the Association of Boxing for the referees and judges instead of just going state to state. And then you have one of the sanctioning bodies send one of their cronies. So I don't know if this works to address what you were just talking about, but This right here, you can see the section where it talks about judges and referees, that it has to be somebody commissioned by the state or somebody by the Association of Boxing. I don't know. I think maybe again the union to come in and advocate for what the fuck the fighters want. That's the only way you get that inside this bill, AC.
Yeah.
But prayers for boxers. Hopefully they smarten up. The one guy I heard who has talked about, at least he hasn't said the word union, but getting together, is Teofimo Lopez. And I want to say I'm actually proud of him. Because Tio is somebody who, say whatever you want, he stands up to authority. And he speaks at least his truth to the authority. But we're gonna move on, man. Prayers for the boxers, and yeah. So this past week, B3 AC, we've had a lot of ruckus going on because of that old fella. Because of that old fella, you see right behind us right here.
Because I'm just gonna start laughing. I gotta mute up.
Yeah. I don't think B3. I don't think I told B3 about it yet. B3 gonna laugh like shit when we show him what they unearthed in the emails. But here, this past week, the House of Representatives got back into session with the ending of the shutdown, and what that means is the Epstein investigation in the House Judicial Committee is back underway, and the Democrats, hold on, they leaked this message that came that was between Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein back in 2011, and this was obviously after Jeffrey Epstein had been had got the sweetheart plea deal, where he pled to soliciting a minor and whatnot, and he got and he just had to go to jail on the weekends or whatnot, some crazy shit. But here in this message, you see it says, at the bottom, it says, "I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked yet is Trump." Then it says victim. The victim's name was blotted out, but we later learned from the White House that victim's name, the victim that was in this email, is Virginia Giuffre. And for those of you who don't know, she worked really hard to expose a lot of what Epstein was doing. Okay, and then she tragically committed committed unalivement. She unalived herself very tragically. I believe this happened last year. But in this message, it says, Giuffre spent hours at my home with him. He has never once been mentioned. Then it talks about the police chief, and I'm 75% there. Now, this is very interesting because if you listen to people around Donald Trump, they say that he cut off his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein back in 2006, 2005 time. It continues to go on, the emails. They just found more and more. Or excuse me, I should say, after this one email came out, Caroline Levitt, who is the White House press secretary, possibly the biggest liar in the United States, she came out on Twitter saying, "Oh, this is a Democrat hoax, and they're just sending out piece by piece emails to try and smear the president." So so the White House released all 22,000 emails, and they're sitting there thinking, "So here, you see, the president's innocent." No, he's not. It just made him look even fucking worse. And then we get even more emails. This one comes out. It says victims, and this is a message between Jeffrey Epstein and the journalist Michael Wolff. It says victim Mar-a-Lago, which is, we all know, Trump's resort. And by the way, this message was from 2019, the year Epstein was, at least according to the FBI, he unalived himself in prison. And it says, Trump said he asked me to resign from Mar-a-Lago. Epstein says, "I never, ever been a member." And he says, of course he knew about the girls. He asked Ghislaine to stop. Now, we're going to get into Ghislaine in a little bit, but Epstein, you heard it right there. He said Trump knew about the girls. Okay? Then we see other messages right here between between Epstein from back in 2015, between the disgraced New York Times journalist Landon Thomas Jr., where it says, you see Landon Thomas wrote to Epstein saying, and this is back in 2015, like I said, this is just after, I think this is just after the presidential election where Trump beat Hillary. And you see, he says, now everyone is coming to me thinking I have juicy info on you and Trump because of this. And it goes into an interview that Trump did where he talks about Jeffrey liking young women. And Jeffrey says, would you like photos of Donald and girls in bikinis in my kitchen? Now, we don't know if Epstein ever sent those photos. We don't know whatever became of that. But what is known is the Wall Street Journal, they did a study and they've thus far analyzed 2,300 of the 22,000 emails that have been leaked. And they're saying, according to their study, Trump's name comes up over 1,600 times. And you see how the frequency goes up during from the 2015 election all the way to Epstein's death in 2019. Okay, let me just get your reaction to let me get y'all's reaction to AC is it's just AC here. But AC, let me get your reaction to just some of that stuff before we go into the more juicier details.
Well, at the end of the day, everybody knew what it was because there's no reason for a call to be made to Cash Patel from Pam Bondi to have the FBI take out X amount of agents to go through and scrub Donald Trump's name from the Epstein files. You feel what I'm saying? So at the same time of you scrubbing his name, y'all could have scrubbed the names of the victims and then released it. Everything could have happened simultaneously because, we're just looking for names. We don't have to read through, blah, blah, blah. It particularly like that. It's glances and just looking for names. So with that being said, the mere fact that you ran on this, you said you was going to do this, and now you're putting such a horrid, desperate attempt to cover everything up, it just exposes you in a manner that just says, listen, your goose is cooked. And once everything is said and done, you can probably pardon Ghislaine Maxwell, but if she's still locked up chasing what she's chasing, she's going to be sent back to real prison, which I hope happens. And that's where I land at.
Nah, she ain't, if she ever sees the outside of a prison, somebody's gonna come get her. Do you understand me? Ghislaine
Yeah.
Maxwell is not gonna be living and breathing the free air of this country with the rest of us non-PDF files.
Yeah.
That's not gonna happen. But we move on with the rest of the things that were exposed, AC. So this right here, also, I didn't get the other emails up, but there were emails between Epstein and the former prime minister of Norway. Okay. And him and the prime minister of Norway were essentially talking about Trump's summit at in I think Helsinki, where he was gonna meet Putin. It was a big time big time event that was what's the word I'm looking for? I'll just say it was talked about. It was talked about for a very long time because of obviously the drama with Russiagate and whatnot. And Epstein is essentially telling the prime minister of Norway, let Putin know to come talk to me. Or excuse me, he let Sergei Lavrov, who was Putin's foreign minister, know to come talk to me, that I have info on Trump that could be very beneficial. And this was just days before that event. Then we see other emails where Epstein says that he spoke to the ambassador to Russia to the UN about Trump, and that it was a very good conversation, and that they came to an understanding. We then see more emails. We saw an email between Epstein and Sultan bin Salam, who, for those of you who don't know, that's a huge shipping container giant. And he owns a huge conglomerate over there in the UAB. Like one tenth of every shipping container you see in this world is connected to DP. Is connected to Sultan bin Salman, and he owns the company. It's called DP World. You see him and Epstein going back and forth, and this fuels the speculation that Epstein may have been an intelligence operative. But the spiciest fucking email of all, and here it is up here. Donald Trump could potentially be a fag. I said it. So here we read, it said, this is a message from Mark Epstein to Jeffrey Epstein. Mark Epstein is Jeffrey's brother. And he says, what is your boy Donald up to now? And then he's checking in with his brother and he says, how are you doing? And Jeffrey says, all good. Steve Bannon is with me. We're going to get into Bannon in a little second. Then, if you continue to look up in the blue letters, it says, and this is from Mark Epstein, it says, ask him, he's talking about Steve Bannon, ask him if Putin has the photos of Trump blowing Bubba. Huh? It said, I'm gonna read it one more time. Epstein's brother asked, or excuse me, Jeffrey Epstein asked his brother, no, Mark Epstein asked Jeffrey if Putin has photos of Trump blowing Bubba. And then they go on in the emails to, basically joking about Donnie D and AC. There's a part in there where Mark Epstein jokes that Jeffrey and Trump could remake a scene from Get Hard. And I caught the reference because Get Hard is a movie about Will Ferrell, who is a big time multimillionaire financial executive who's going to prison, and then Kevin Hart is trying to prepare him for prison, and there's a scene in there where where you see right here Will Ferrell is practicing to learn how to suck somebody's cock.
The glory hole.
So I caught the reference of what Epstein was trying to say. So I don't know who Bubba is, but AC let me know that Bubba was Clinton's was Clinton's jazz stage name. Hold on, let me get this picture up. Hold on, let me get that Clinton picture. Hold on, where is it? Where is it? Give me one sec. Oh my God, this guy's a fag, AC. Then we find this picture that's from years ago. And you see right here, it's Donnie, it's President 47 with President 42. And you see Donnie has his hand a little bit low. And they're both looking like, yeah, we about to have a good time. I don't know. They look way, I mean, Clinton just looks way too happy to have a man's hand on his piece. But AC, I'm gonna come to you. What's your reaction to the fact that your president, matter of fact, let me leave the picture up. What's your reaction to the fact that there's a very real chance that there's a photo out there of Donald Trump, at least according to the Epsteins, there's a photo out there of Donald Trump giving sloppy toppy to Bill Clinton?
Well, my reaction is this. When you have a person like Jeffrey Epstein writing one of those emails that Donald Trump is the most depraved person he's ever seen, it doesn't take anything away from me. Also, we've always wondered what Putin could have over Donald Trump that Donald Trump wouldn't condemn him, was so mealy-mouthed to him, wants to act like he wants to be him and all of this other stuff. And if the Epstein brother says, does Putin still have that picture? Then that means if it's not destroyed, there was a picture. It's not an allegation. It's not allegedly. You feel what I'm saying? If I go online and I'm saying to myself, I wonder if Marky Dan still is doing Democracy 101. That means that there was a point where you were doing Democracy 101. Still is an afterthought. So there's nothing that that confuses anyone about still. So yeah, that's the biggest word for me. You feel me? And that's the part that I don't know if people are saying whatever, but no. The most important word for me is next to the other words, but the most important word for me is still. He asked the question. So then you would ask, well, what does he want with that picture? To ask, does he still have it? What do you want with it? So yeah, I mean, that's my thought, and I'm just that type of person that would look at it from that perspective. You know what I'm saying? But that's my thought on it. It's like, okay, what would Epstein's brother want with it? And it's a real picture because he said, does he still have it? That's like calling your man to say, yo, you still got that old car? Remember that car you had? Yeah, I still got it. you know, it's just that simple. Matter of simple English for me. So they're not gonna get me caught up in semantics with arguing anything because I'm gonna shut anybody down and say, then why did that man ask? Does he still have it? You know,
My big thing though is that Donald Trump, the MAGA conservative legend and messiah, is the first gay president of the United States of America. That's the biggest thing I got from that shit. AC, because I swear to you on my life, there are not no emails.
you went out, Marky. No, but I get what Marky said. That the whole gay argument is just crazy. Like, uh, I don't. Yeah, I don't know how to really call that one. I would probably be he'd probably be up to the category of what these young kids be calling themselves now by curious and all of that. I think that's more Donald Trump. So yeah, we got our first by curious president and stuff like that. Because no grown man is gonna get on the stage in front of anybody and have that rally and be like, he said he walked up to I walked up to the podium and I saw the microphone and I was like, it's just too small, it's too short. It's just too short. So he starts messing with it and acting like he's stroking it and then goes down and act like he blowing it. So like you're a guy running for president. How do you do that? Where does that come from? What part of the game is that? So when you analyze that and then look at that text, and the other thing is far more recent, and you would say to yourself, if you're supposed to be, as they the new
Can you
Gorsuch,
hear me, AC?
yeah, I can hear you now.
Yes, sir. My bad. I had to get out of my place. My Wi-Fi went down for whatever reason.
Yeah,
But no,
I
I was just. Mhm.
go ahead. I was just gonna just finish my point of saying, if you're the king of all the alpha males, you don't go on the stage in front of uh, tens of thousands of supporters and act like you're blowing something. A grown man and an alpha male will never do that.
Those are the facts. And Pittsburgh T, come back, Pittsburgh T. Um, nah, but I was just asking before I went out. AC. The real question is, who hasn't blown Bill Clinton? That's the real question that we need to get to the bottom of. Who in Washington, D.C. has not greased Clinton's knob at this point? That may be the only person we can trust in this entire Epstein saga, goddammit. But
Uh-huh.
I'm not I'm not surprised. This dude is a fag. I knew he was a fag. When you look at Donald Trump, you could tell he ain't got no integrity like that. You know he'll break himself. You know he'll break himself for money, for pussy, for just for people, just for important people to say his name like he fucking matters. He'll definitely suck a dick. I don't have no doubt in my mind about that. He's a fag. The Epstein emails substantiate that what I'm saying, that he's a fag. And give me 1 second, AC. Give me just 1 second. Take over for me.
No, I, like for me, I'm not gonna be as harsh as Marky. I'm just gonna say, at this point, the man is bi-curious. He's one of them dudes. You know what I'm saying? Again, like when you look at him overall in his life, um, he wanted to be known as a playboy, millionaire, jet setter, blah blah blah, Mister uh, licensing and branding venture dude that everybody wants to Trump name in big gold letters. You know, he's been on that bullshit for all his life, just doing everything to build his vanity. This is why you haven't heard anything from him. This is probably why he had to go and get another MRI scan, because he just can't, like, his mind is just completely blown that they missed that email. Like, I would be infuriated to know that I had Pam Bondi go through these files. You feel what I'm saying? And I didn't make sure that if you're going to release these emails, somebody, I got a mole or somebody in the Epstein estate that'll let me know one of these emails that they're about to release is really, really sketchy and harmful to the image. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So, uh, I don't know if I didn't even know Jeffrey Epstein had a brother until these emails dropped. I'm gonna keep it a beam with that. And for me, I'm like, if his brother's still alive, his brother is getting revenge for them,
Oh
for
yeah.
what they did
Oh
to
yeah.
Donald Trump. This is revenge, because you trying to say it was selected by the Democrats. Nope, nope, nope. That's Jeffrey Epstein's brother. If he's still alive, he's like, fuck this dude, fuck this administration. You have my brother re-locked up and killed. You feel what I'm saying? To protect your shit. And now here we go. You should have killed me too, motherfucker.
No,
Or
absolutely.
unalive me, my bad, unalive me.
No, absolutely. I agree 1,000%. I think that Mark is also giving Ghislaine his behind the kiss. He don't care what happens to her at this point. They got his brother, and now he's about to get them. But hold on. Let me just play this clip by Michael Wolff, who talks about. Oh, by the way, he's Michael Wolff, who I said earlier is a journalist who's involved. I mean, he is involved in these emails. You see him talking to Epstein all the way back in 2015, where he is basically he was telling Epstein that they're going to be talking about his relationship with Trump on CNN. This was back in 2015 during the election cycle, and Epstein asked Wolf to craft an answer if they were to ask him about it. And let me let my guy Pittsburgh T back up in here. And Wolf then says, well, you should let him hang himself, and that this could be an opportunity of leverage. Now, I don't know what exactly that leverage would be, but here we have Michael Wolff talking about one of his conversations with Epstein, and Epstein pulled out some photos.
Epstein, on more than one occasion, would bring out these photographs that he had of Trump. And there were about a half a dozen photographs, and they were, from the late 90s.
Mm-hmm.
They were Trump at Epstein's Palm Beach house,
Yeah.
sitting around the pool with these young girls. And the young girls are topless, and in some of the pictures, they're sitting in his lap. I mean,
Whoa.
And then there's one I especially remember where there's a telltale stain on the front of Trump's pants, and the girls are pointing at him and laughing.
Where are these pictures?
He would go and he would take them out of the safe.
Yeah.
And then he would return them to the safe. And I would say it was likely that they would have been there when the FBI, Trump's FBI at that point, not to put too fine a point on it, raided Epstein's house and took the contents of the safe in 2019.
So there you hear Michael Wolff, who was a journalist who now being revealed in these emails, we're learning just how close he was to Epstein. There's also some scrutiny on his relationship. But Pittsburgh T, my brother, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, brother.
How you doing, Pittsburgh T? How you doing?
Good, man. I'm glad y'all covering this. Michael Wolff, that dude is, he's a sketchy journalist, bro. Because if you read through some of those emails, he's telling them how he can manipulate him.
No, I agree.
With that. I would say this.
Like
they need to release all of that stuff.
He looked more like he was one of Epstein's advisors than just a journalist looking for a story.
Yeah, he looks real sketchy if you read through it. I'll say if you read the subpoena, if you go to the house, I typed it in the chat. There's the actual subpoena with all the stuff they're asking. I just don't like how they slow release certain things. They should get it all out there and start protecting these people. That's how I feel about it, because they got CCTV, they got emails, they got photos, they got bank logs, they got Black Book, they got all kind of stuff over 20-something years, and this is all they put out.
Well, you remember when the investigation initially started? I think it started back in August or July. They published Epstein's birthday book that they got from the estate. So I do want to say that there does have to be a process where you do vet the information. You do blot out the victims' names. You make sure that they're redacted so they can be protected. But the reason we don't have all the emails, we don't have everything, is because Donald Trump won't release the Epstein files. And now, and I forgot to mention this, Pittsburgh T. Adelita Grijalda was just sworn in. Mike Johnson has been holding off on swearing her in. She was the 218th signature on the Epstein discharge petition, which has now been passed. So they're going to have a House floor vote on this. So, Mike Johnson says in the next week. And you already have 20 Republicans who didn't sign the petition say, we have to say yes. We can't go back to our constituents and ask them to vote for us in 2026 and then have to explain why we didn't vote for this to be released. And we're going to see a vote on the Senate real soon. So,
but they don't have to do that, Marky Dan. Look, if you look at that committee that released those documents, it's a select committee that's special for that. The subpoena that they have has all the documents and the stuff that they requested. Go read the things that they're requesting that they already have possession of. This ain't got to be nothing that they're trying to get. They already requested certain things and they've already got them. Go read it. I put it in the back chat. It's there. It comes directly from the .gov from them.
Well, I'll go read it. But your question, well, I don't see it in the back chat. Post it in the public chat so I can go hit the link and read it. But your question was, why are we getting everything drip fed? The investigative committee does not have everything the DOJ has. So I'm gonna read that subpoena, but even then, the DOJ is still not fully adhering to that subpoena if they've requested everything that they have, which respectfully with a Trump I call him a Trump fudge packer like James Comer running that committee. He's not worried about getting the full files, especially after these couple of disclosures have come out that make Donald Trump just look fucking terrible. They make him look even worse. Like, we got shit with Epstein saying he's borderline insane. With shit with Epstein, who is who's possibly the most prolific pedophile, or excuse me, pedophile of the 21st century, saying Donald Trump might be one of the worst human beings he has ever come in contact with. Like, a lot of that stuff is pertinent. And what I just said earlier about these just being 22,000 emails that were released from the estate, we still don't have everything that the
Yeah, we
DOJ
do.
has. And
No, but we don't
no,
have to
we
have
don't.
it
We
though.
don't have everything the DOJ
No, no,
has.
but listen, that committee is not part of the DOJ, is what I'm saying. So you don't need to go through the DOJ. The problem,
They're the judicial committee, though. They have oversight over
right,
the DOJ.
right. But look at the stuff that they already asked for: the black book, the flight logs, the CCTV, the financial records, any transactions that were made. They already have this stuff. So the
They don't
idea
have
that they're
everything.
only releasing stuff, that's enough. That's enough stuff. Even
No, it
this
ain't
stuff,
enough stuff. We want
bro.
everything.
We ain't getting even all emails. So you think that's all the emails? Like we ain't
Hell
even
no.
getting all of
That's
that.
my point. But that's my point, though, Pittsburgh T. It's not everything. So let's release everything.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm with you. Get them all. I just don't like the whole
Absolutely.
select stuff that they do where they just want to get if he involved in it, get them all. Don't be trying to hide certain people. Get them all.
But a couple of people, and I didn't mention them. Obviously, Trump being a potential fag is the theme of the episode. But like I told you in the chat, my VI delegate to Congress, Stacey Plaskett, she's been exposed by these emails because it's now been exposed that her and Epstein were corresponding during a congressional hearing, and he was actually telling her what questions to ask a witness. So Trump is not the only person that's going to be hurt by this. I want everything. I don't care who, whether it's blue or red. Whoever gets hurt by these Epstein files, nigga, you deserved it because you protected a pedo. And another thing, Pittsburgh T. This doesn't pertain to national news, but my governor at the time, Governor DeYoung, a lot of it's a rumor going around on my island that his wife was actually involved with getting some girls arranged for Epstein at the island between 2004 and 2012. So I want to see everything. I'm not just worried about Trump or the Republicans. I also want to know if the DOJ has anything about the attorney general that was down here at the time,
But
who I
Marky,
think who I
I
think
just wanted to come in and say this. When we talk about the Democrat Congresswoman who was part of the Trump impeachment thing, you feel what I'm saying? She was one of the lead lawyers in that and everything.
Mhm.
If you that right there could be spun two different ways. You feel what I'm saying? On the one end, if you use it to whereas she was being corrupted, you feel what I'm saying? By Epstein. Okay, you're making that argument based on the visual. But in matters of legal things like that, we know that if a person is an informant or acting in the role of an informant, or you know that these are questions that just came about, you feel what I'm saying? And remember, a congressional hearing, the information doesn't have to be shared on both sides unless it's requested. You feel what I'm saying? It's not like a lawyer case to whereas you got to go through the deposition and both parties have to agree and shit like that. So if you know that Epstein has, pertinent information that he may say, you know what, I don't want to boldface say it, but I'll form it in the form of a question so it puts this dude on the spot. That's how you get him. You feel what I'm saying? Because I'm only saying it like that because on many different occasions and things like that, and I'm speaking from somewhat real life experience of reading a story and reading that one of the congressmen during the Reagan Contra affair, he spoke to someone. He spoke to someone right before he went out to start to ask his questions, and this was someone from the opposite side to help expose it. It's just like using a whistleblower's testimony. So it we're talking about optics. So I just wanted to just say, yeah, if it comes out that you're corrupted by Epstein, shorty, it is what it is. But if it was something where you was working in tangent to do something, that would probably be where I want to lead more to you, because I thought you did a phenomenal job, and the way they vetted you for to be that lead lawyer. If this thing was actually a thing, I don't know if they wouldn't have brought it out back then when you were when you was a lead attorney to in one of Trump's impeachment hearings.
Yeah, but that don't matter. Because guess what? They had Epstein in Florida after that. They already had him dead to rights in Florida and they let him go. So they didn't have to do any of the stuff you're talking about.
I don't understand what you mean, what I'm talking about. What did I say that I was talking about?
You're talking about they had to get an informant. They had Epstein dead to rights in Florida. They need no informant before any of this stuff happened.
Yeah, but they weren't talking to Epstein at that point. They was talking to somebody else in that hearing with that picture, where
No,
where,
you
where
missed
they're
what I'm
saying
saying.
she was
They didn't
doing
need an
something. She
informant.
was supposed to be doing something nefarious.
They didn't need a informant for Epstein. They already had him in '08 in Florida on a completely different case where he was floating in and out of jail on the weekends.
What I'm
They had him
saying
dead to
to you, I
rights.
think you're missing. I think you're missing a bigger argument that I'm making. And what I'm saying to you is this: the person that was there for that congressional hearing. You know what I'm saying? If we go back to it, I don't recall that hearing being about Jeffrey Epstein. It was about something else that could maybe have ties to it. So he was on. He was there to talk to her, um,
Good night.
or not talk to her, or at. He was there as a
All right.
informant type thing, and he was posing these questions because only thing he was telling her was just asked to do this. He wasn't saying, yeah, I did this and I did that. They already had that. That was irrelevant. I didn't say anything like that. If it is what it is that he was telling her questions to ask, that's completely different. The arguments are not the same.
Yeah, but I'm saying they didn't need for Epstein. They didn't need any informants for anything that he had going on. That was completely unnecessary. So like the same way that this guy is under scrutiny, they release everything so we can get a full scope of it. I don't think it ever happens. I've been telling Marky Dan this forever. I think you get bits and dribbles with each side playing these games where they find stuff and they filter it out, and we leave it up to our imagination to fill in the gaps. I think that's all we
What
get.
what do you think Epstein and his brother meant when they said ask him if Putin has the photo of Trump blowing bubble? What you think they meant by that?
I don't know because I don't even know if that's the full the full email chain. That's the problem with it. We're not even getting a full email chain of this stuff. They're taking out like stuff that's salacious and they're giving us bits and pieces. They should give us the whole thing. They
It
did a
what
dump and then look at the dump. The dump isn't even numbered out. It's not, you have to do a
yes you can.
search.
You could see the date and the times of each message, and they're
No, but it's
concurrent to
not
each other
like,
on the same day. Pittsburgh T.
I know, but what I'm saying is it's not, if you look at the pages, they're not paged out chronologically. So you don't know if that's the entire chain of the email. We can see the date of the email.
But,
We don't know if
but
that's
bro,
all of the email.
you're throwing out the good and the great for the
No, I'm
perfect.
not. I'm saying we're missing stuff. Is what I'm saying.
You answered that
Uh, uh,
mighty
but,
fast, so I think you are.
No, I read
but
them.
uh, okay, but what do you think? What context do you think could be left out when he talks about Putin having a photo of Trump blowing somebody named Bubba?
Listen,
And then
I'm not gonna.
they making jokes about Donnie D, and and they said Donnie can make a remake of the movie Get Hard. What context you think they missing from that?
Oh, no, that specific thing. I don't know if that's all of it. Now, he's involved with going to the island. What I'm saying we need to get all of it. I'm not trying to absolve him from not being there. I think that's insane. I'm saying if you're going to put him there, put all of them there. That's all I'm saying. I don't think you're ever going to get that. I think you're going to get this thing where we're going to have to use our imagination because it's going to implicate other people. So you'll never get the whole picture of it.
I agree. I agree. Which is why I agree with you, Pittsburgh T. We should get everything out. I don't know why the committee is slower. I mean, they just released 22,000 emails, and that was at the behest of the Trump admin to James Comer to release those 22,000 emails. And I just read over the subpoena you were talking about. It does call for all the documents and communications that the DOJ has concerning Epstein, but for whatever reason, they still haven't released it to the committee, Pittsburgh T. So I ain't got no problem if they have a vote to release all the Epstein files. I think it's prudent because for whatever reason they hiding something, and then we see emails talking about Trump blowing somebody named Bubba, and Putin might have the photos. I mean, I'm curious to see what shakes out. But outside of or rather I should say, Trump has had his talking heads come up and try to run interference. This is Megyn Kelly maybe given the worst argument I've ever heard for defending a pedophile. But here we go.
I do know somebody very, very close to this case who is in a position to know virtually everything. That Jeffrey Epstein, in this person's view, was not a pedophile. This is this person's view, who was there for a lot of this, but that he was into the barely legal type. Like he liked 15-year-old girls. And I realize this is disgusting. I'm definitely not trying to make an excuse for this. I'm just giving you facts. That he wasn't into like 8-year-olds, but he liked the very young teen types. I mean, only a pedophile gets off on young children abuse videos. We have yet to see anybody come forward and say, I was I was under 10. You can say that's a distinction without a difference.
No, it's not.
I think there is a difference.
Yeah, so that crazy bitch just said that 15 years old is barely legal. And essentially she said, well, at least there weren't any 8-year-olds there. And that's the best cover she can provide for Trump, who, as we heard earlier in the emails from from Epstein's own mouth, he knew about the girls. And now this is Megyn Kelly and Trump's other talking heads' best defense they could put up. At least she wasn't 8. But AC, what's your reaction to Megyn Kelly just word vomit?
Well, it's just part of, in my opinion, just crazy mentalities to where you can be faced with the evidence and then you have some sort of cognitive disorder that you completely try to rationalize it. You know, and the thing that you were talking about just last, again, the key word is, for me, it's not Putin had that picture because it's a still. You don't have something and something does not exist if the word still is not involved in it. So as long as that word is involved in it, yeah, there is a picture, and Putin at some point
I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I don't know if he has it now, but that's just an absolute fact that this picture is real. So when you look at what Megyn Kelly is saying, she's trying to rationalize it, just like in the beginning when all of this stuff broke, people were trying to rationalize it by saying these young women. They may be young women now because years have passed, and this is how you see them now. But they were little girls back then, you know, and try to codify it by saying what you're saying. Here in New York, you can still be 18 years old, but you still need your parents' consent to get married. You know, now that the legal drinking age is 21, I think it may be 21 now. So what I'm saying is basically there's nothing barely legal at the age of 15 years old. You know what I'm saying? So if, you know, you just can't, Megyn Kelly, if that was your daughter, that was your niece, that was a female cousin of yours that you actually knew, you wouldn't have never said anything like that, because you'd be like,
go ahead, AC, my bad.
No, I was just gonna say, because she would be like, you know what, fuck this motherfucker, because I've heard Megyn Kelly go in on her joint where she's like, what the fuck, and talking all of this other shit.
But you remember why Megyn Kelly left Fox, right?
Yeah, because of the sex allegations and everything.
Exactly.
Else. Yeah. Nobody forgot that. You know,
But
nobody
I
forgot that.
but I
Bringing her
think
up into
she's
the office.
but I think she said shit like that because the people that pay her salary, and I'm not just saying Trump, because you have I forget the name of the guy, but he raised $50 billion for CPAC. $50 million for CPAC. Thomas Massey came out and said that he is in there. He is in the Epstein files. And I know for a fact that that person, I think his name is Paul Ranson or something like that. He's a sponsor of Megyn Kelly's show. So what these talking heads are trying to do, at least in my opinion, and now I'm gonna kick it to Pittsburgh T. I think they're trying to soften the blow, or they're really trying to put their credibility on the line to say, well, I mean, it was a 15-year-old. I mean, haven't you ever, looked at a 15-year? I mean, these people, they need to get the fuck up out of here. And they're not gonna be around for too much longer. All these MAGA folks that want to continue to stay on this sinking ship. And I forgot to mention Marjorie Taylor Greene. We were talking about her earlier. She's off the sinking ship. She's not finna come out. You're not finna hear her come out here and talk about it's 15 years old is barely legal, and at least there weren't any 8-year-olds at the party. She is done with these pederistic motherfuckers like Trump. Full stop. But Pittsburgh T, I'm gonna come to you. What's your reaction, if you have any, to Megyn Kelly? And this is not just her. We also heard Steve Bannon, who's implicated in these emails, come out and say something similar to this.
Sorry.
Anytime you got these extreme portions of these parties where they're lower the party, you get these idiotic comments. I mean, it's beyond stupid what that lady said. It's not even, I mean, you can't even address that idiotic stuff. But these people are lower the party, so they'll defend anything. So it doesn't matter what the person does. He literally probably could have killed somebody. She would have came up with a way to figure out a way to lie about it. And I think that's what the problem with the extremes are. When you get into these extremes of people who are either completely blue or completely red, you end up with this idiotic stuff. Because it doesn't, we can see the obvious, but they're just trying to lie to you.
No, absolutely, absolutely. Do y'all have any reaction to those well, I mentioned it earlier, Pittsburgh T, about Epstein having communications with the Prime Minister of Norway, talking about how they need to steer Putin's foreign minister Lavrov in his direction to get dirt on Trump, as well as his conversations with Sultan bin Salman, who is the CEO of DP World, which is the largest shipping container company in the entire universe, essentially. What are your reactions to that, as well as people saying that just fuels the theory that Epstein was an intelligence operative, or that he might have been an asset for an intelligence for a foreign intelligence service? AC or Pittsburgh T, either one of you.
I mean, I think that's part of the problem. Quickly, I think that's part of the problem because look, that's why you'll never get the whole thing because it's not just an American problem. That guy had islands and he had planes. Those planes weren't limited to America.
Shit,
They
he
were
had
limited to him.
princes.
Yes, he had people from all over the world. And if some of those other countries, citizens figure out that their prime ministers, their financiers, their banks are there, it's going to create like a ripple across the world. And that's part of the biggest problem in that. I think we get into this micro stuff where we just think in the micro level where it's just Trump, Trump, Trump. This is a worldwide problem. They were doing business there. They were conducting deals there. No matter how disgusting it is, that's what they do on the highest level. So I think that's part of the bigger problem with that. So I think that's probably like the tip of the iceberg is Trump and that guy, the containers you're talking about.
No, absolutely. Especially when we talk about Epstein running a sex trafficking, a global sex trafficking syndicate. Now we're talking about a guy that owns the largest shipping container company in the entire world, and we obviously know that there's been a lot of instances throughout the world, throughout history, of women being stacked in crates and then shipped across oceans to be bought. So absolutely. And then I got this picture up here. This is from Epstein's birthday book that me and AC went through a couple months ago. And you see what the picture says at the bottom. It says he is the boyfriend of, and they blot out her name, and it says we think he works for the CIA. Any reaction, AC?
At the end of the day, that's like until someone can like really come out and talk about who Epstein is, um, we may be going down different rabbit holes or chasing different rabbit holes. He was a dude that if you knew who he was back then when they was talking about Epstein and when everything first broke and there was the initial outrage because he got that sweetheart deal from the Bushes, um, it was all the information, the floodgates was coming out that he had ties to the CIA, and that may be that girl. They were saying that there would be top CIA agents that actually visited the Epstein estate and things like that. So it was all out there back then that he was a dude that was running in the circles with ex presidents, ex high level generals, and overseas high influence peoples and dignitaries and princes and shit like that. So
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, who's to say he could just been one of these guys that just was one of those business type personalities that everyone always wanted to be around. He threw these extravagant parties. He had the right PR people with him that would bring these people around him, because when you look at how was Diddy able to do what he did, then you got to say then there's something between those type of personalities that can do these type of things and get away with it for year after year after year after year after year, and then they wind up getting as they make more money, they get closer and closer to different levels of people that might be into that strange things. You know what I'm saying? Strange is interesting bedfellows.
You remember that? You remember what's the name of that Lil Neeson movie? Taken. You remember Taken? What that was
Yeah,
about? AC.
yeah, yeah,
Literally about billionaires bidding on teenage girls that they kidnap.
yeah. And this was a thing that they were talking about when human trafficking was first coming out in the early 2000s. Remember the movie Hostel?
Yeah.
What was that about? Human trafficking. It all stems from this hotel. You feel what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, the industry was trying to give awareness that, hey, you may think this is a movie plot, but shit like this is really happening in real life. Where do you think we get these references from that they're so graphic? You feel what I'm saying? Writers do have imaginations, but sometimes art does imitate life. So you have to look at certain things and say, yeah, um, there are these references. Like most of these Tom Clancy movies because of his ties to the CIA and FBI. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like, man, listen, I don't know. I don't want to be one of the conspiracy theory guys because I don't really rock with that. I just try to stay on the plane of facts and what I could find out, and if certain information can't give me a concrete answer, I won't
Right.
give a concrete answer. I'll just wait and accumulate, because time, one thing I do understand is time is the great equalizer. Give shit enough time, the truth will come out and the facts.
But you need
Most
you know what
true.
you do, Marky Day. You need to do a special on her father. Go look up her father. That dude had
Bob
the
Maxwell.
only.
Yep. Yep.
Yep,
I
he
did some.
had.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
do like an hour long special on him. He's the only person to get a newspaper or media off the ground from intelligence agency where they completely financed it. And he got so big at
Yep.
one point he would end up with Fox. So like look him up. He got all kind of KGB,
Yep.
foreign legion,
And
spoke
you
like
and you
7, 8
remember how
languages.
he passed away, right? Pittsburgh T.
Yeah, the alleged way that they say he passed. Yeah, I heard that. I remember that. Yeah, you
Yeah.
need to do a
What
special.
they
We'll
say?
just
He
hold it,
what was it? He
tease
fell
it.
off his boat or something like that.
Yeah, he went out on a boat by himself that you can't drive with one person. and and off themselves. Craziness.
Yeah.
That
So
was
so
named
we
after
already know what
Zara.
happened. Yeah, we already know. I've done a lot of research into Bob. I know about his ties. I know how he fought he was a partisan. He fought so he fought the Nazis in I think
Yeah,
Czechoslovakia. So
yeah.
we could definitely do a special episode about that.
But his, but
Probably
that's
this week
where
coming
that's
up.
where, but that's allegedly where these two met. The daughter, which is just saying, and Epstein. That's where they met. Was to the father.
Yeah, but you
Uh,
also
Yep,
that's also
and
like
no
Mika.
Pittsburgh T. Hold on one second. Hold on one second, AC. Because matter of fact, I think I have that picture. Pittsburgh T. 1 second. Here it is. This was actually a letter that was in Epstein's book, and it was from Elliot Wolk, who was a finance expert at, I forget the name of the company, but that was the company Epstein got his start at. And you see it right here, Pittsburgh T. It says, Jeffrey, I remember the mid 1970s being a star salesman for tax advantage, blah, 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 blah. I was running an account for Bob Maxwell. You always had the ability to know everyone and be charming. Was that when you first discovered Maxwell's teenage daughter? Happy birthday. So absolute, we can go into that. But a
yeah,
lot of that stuff came out in the birthday book, Pittsburgh T.
yeah. I think you just got to refresh people. Even look at Lassaine's her relationship with her father was so fucking weird and crazy, bro. There's no surprise to where she turned out to. Just no surprise. And she never had a boyfriend when her father was alive. Never. And they had these
Nope.
weird things
Except,
they had going on.
yep. And speaking of Ghislaine, let's move on to her. She'll probably be the final topic of tonight. It came out this week the type of treatment she was getting. And there were some leaked emails, but here you see she's getting unlimited toilet paper, customized meals, she's getting puppy play dates, she's getting to walk around the facility where she's at in Texas. This is a PDF file. This is a PDF file that was serving in Supermax, and now she's in a play camp. And it came out in the emails. I believe she sent her attorney talking about. I feel like I've been dropped through Alice in Wonderland's Looking Glass. I am much happier and, importantly, much more safe. AC, I'm gonna come to you. What's your reaction to the fact that this PDF file is living in bliss every single day, thanks to Donnie?
Because at the end of the day, she is the black book. She's that if she decides
Yep.
to just
Ah, man, Pittsburgh T, come back.
if she decides to tell people what she actually saw, what she actually witnessed, what she actually heard, um, it's the type of thing that
Mm-hmm.
will just shake up the world economy because so many people are tied in and so many people have secrets. She
Wouldn't it just been a bit cheaper to keep her in the Supermax and then got one of those women to get her up out of there?
yeah, yeah, because then you can disguise it as, a mentally ill inmate who lost their child, felt a certain way about how she did whatever. But at the end of the
Hey,
day,
one second, AC. Pittsburgh T, if you dare come back, come back. I want your thoughts on the TKO before we get out. But go ahead, AC.
but basically you'll get a person like Ghislaine Maxwell. You see, she was brought up in a world of certain privileges. When you're brought up in a world of certain privileges, you're privy to certain behaviors because everyone is privileged. That
Good night,
privilege,
good night.
that privilege
That's
also
funny.
extends to where your interactions of the law and how you view the law. So when you break down these people's lives that live these extremely privileged lives, you'll have a better understanding to why it's so easy for them to condone the things that we don't condone, because they'll tell us, simply you're just being so middle class. So in that world, certain things are understood, certain behaviors are understood. They're known to be in our world, they're perverted and monstrous, but in their privileged world, it's just being eccentric. He has certain needs and wants. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So, with that being said, this is what she's witnessed. This is the life she grew up in, and when she runs into a person like Jeffrey Epstein, they're pretty much a match made in heaven.
Yep.
You feel what I'm saying? That's the perfect storm. That's everything you need. Now, how she's getting this pre- uh, pre- preferential treatment, um, that's all on the orders that the warden got. Shit like that doesn't happen unless the warden is completely aware of it.
And
And
and you know who has jurisdiction over Bureau of Prisons, right? The
yeah,
DOJ.
yeah. So at the end of the day, these are orders that are coming from the top. She is not to be harmed.
Yes,
She is
sir.
not to be, this, whatever she wants, get her. It's
Absolutely.
like,
And not only that, Ghislaine mentioned the warden, Tanya, I forget her last name, in her emails saying that she's a professional. But let me come to Pittsburgh T. Then I'm gonna get your thoughts on the TKO boxing, or excuse me, the legislation that's coming down to kill the Ali Act. But what's your reaction, Pittsburgh T, to the treatment Ghislaine is getting in while she's in prison?
No surprise, bro. DOJ been making deals like this since the early mob with special people. Once they were even letting the mob go in there and meet their people in jail without signing in, letting them stay as long as they would like, and giving them special instructions. So it's been going on forever, and it's going to continue to happen. It's just that this is more public because we now are 24/7 news networks now. We got streaming. And when Trump leaves, it's probably going to be the same thing because they got dirt on the next person too. They're all in the same packs, bro. I mean, that's why we ain't getting the information. That dude got arrested. When was that? 19. We still ain't got half of it. Not even half of the information that they have. What are they holding it for?
Well, there was a pending litigation concerning Ghislaine Maxwell that just wrapped up in 2024. So that is the at least the official, and that is actually the reason why we couldn't look into the files at least at that time. But right now,
Nah.
well, actually, it's funny, Pittsburgh T, because after Pam Bondi signed that memo saying that there's no more investigations, we've looked into everything. Trump then came out and said he wants Clinton and a couple of other people to be investigated, which is
Yeah.
which a lot of people thinks means that, goddamn, which a lot of people think means that there's going to be more pending litigation, and that's going to be their excuse for holding off on giving the files.
Well, I mean, he only got 3 more years, bro. And remember, Biden was in there for 4 years and he ain't looking at nothing. So, like, this is only the flavor of the month. These people really don't want to look into stuff. They already had a lot of this stuff. They don't. They're uninterested because it implicates them or their mentors into a lot of this stuff. That's the problem with it. You need like a whole independent group that's outside of these fools because they got too much investment in this stuff that could go wrong with them.
Well, I hear you on that, Pittsburgh T, but respectfully, it's 215, or excuse me, 214 Democrats that signed that discharge petition. And for whatever reason, only 4 Republicans signed on to release the files. So you can take that what you will, but I do agree there will be political games, but I don't think anybody is going to be wanting to protect a pedo for too much longer.
can I
This
just say
was
this real quick?
Yeah.
I
Then I
just
gotta
want to
come to
say this real
Pittsburgh
quick
T.
about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Me, I've always felt like this. From the time they was doing to take
Be brief, AC. I gotta
I
go.
am. I'm saying the time that they was gonna that they was taking Trump's name out, right?
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's like this. If there was any real damaging information on Democrats with this administration, how they're weaponizing the DOJ, if there was any real damaging information in those Epstein files to take down Democrats, they would have been released that. Being that it's never happened, it's, in my opinion, it's mostly all Republicans and foreign dignitaries.
Nah,
That's
you
why
could
I
have
think
said
that.
thing with Biden though. You could say the same thing with Biden. He had 4 years and he didn't do nothing. So if that's the stance. You could say the
But
same thing with
Biden
Biden. He
didn't
didn't
run
release
on it.
anything.
But hold on 1 second,
He
Pittsburgh
could have
T.
did the same thing.
Biden did not lord over his DOJ. He did not
It
lord
does,
over
bro.
Merrick Garland. Like this shit that we
Listen,
seeing with Pam Bondi
if
and Donald Trump, this is not normal. Like that's not the
no, if
way
you're
our
saying
DOJ is supposed to operate.
if you're saying if you're saying that they didn't release it because there's nothing on the other side, you could say the same thing for Biden's
That's not why
Democratic
I'm saying
Party.
they didn't release. That's not why I'm saying they didn't release it. There was pending litigation going on with Maxwell.
No, but they still had all the Epstein stuff. He was dead. They
What do
could
you
have
mean?
released it. Epstein was gone. He killed himself, but when up under Biden, he was gone. Killed himself. They could have
No, he
released all the
killed
stuff that
himself
had to
under
do with his
Trump.
case.
This happened in 2019. What are you talking about, Pittsburgh T?
No, okay. When was Biden in? When Biden was in,
Biden was in
Epstein was already dead.
2021.
Right. So Epstein was already dead. He could have already released it. Is what I'm saying. There's nothing.
But
Once
then
he's
by that,
dead, there's
but then
nothing to
by that,
matter.
but then by that logic, Trump could have released it in 2020, couldn't he?
No, I'm just saying. I'm speaking to what the brother just said. That there's nothing. There was something in there they would have released it. You could use the same logic with the Democrats. So
No,
How?
no,
I
no, no,
don't.
no.
How do you use the same
But
logic?
why AC's point has merit is because there's no pending litigation right now.
The man was
Is that
dead. Epstein was dead in 19. Biden was in there in
Maxwell isn't
21.
dead? But the point is, Ghislaine Maxwell isn't dead. They still had
Everything
to
related to
convict
Epstein.
her.
No, they didn't. Everything related to Epstein, they could have released, bro. There's stuff that has nothing to do with her that they could have released. They released nothing.
She's his accomplice. She was literally his right hand man and recruiter. At least according to Epstein, his own mouth, or rather fingers. But
Go ahead.
anyways,
Yeah, I don't
but
agree with you.
anyways,
Go ahead. Go
Pittsburgh.
ahead. Move on. I don't agree with you. Go ahead, brother. I get your point.
No, but absolutely. But we got to get out of here. I wanted to get your thoughts on the amendments to the Ali Act that they're having with HR 4624. Where do you think the sport of boxing goes once this passes? And
Uh,
how do you think? And how do the boxers get people to advocate for them, or how do they get their voice to be heard in this new boxing world?
hopefully it doesn't pass. And if it does, it doesn't look like that. How do they get heard? You got to get the main guys to sit out and go on strike. And I think that's going to be a hard push because the only way you can get heard as a worker is to cost the employer money. And that's going to be them sitting out. And it's going to be hard to get the Terrence
Exactly.
Crawforders and the Canelo Alvarez to miss paydays. It's going to be difficult. Not saying it's impossible, but those guys know they ain't got many paydays left. So you asking them to give up their payday for the younger guy, create a way for them to pass for them. And that's going to be a hard push because they're all subcontractors. It's not like they're reporting to the boxing committee to get paid. They're all subcontractors to all these different networks. So they would have to organize and go to like a union, like a Teamster or something like that. And then they would have to go on strike and have demands. The only way you actually get anything done is strike and demands. So that's what the problem would be. You have to get the older guys that's about to walk out the door to miss their last co-pay days. I don't really see it happening. I wish it would, but I don't see it. So where it goes from here, who knows?
You pretty much echoed all my points. I agree 1000%. I think these boxers are screwed if they don't get on the same page and they don't and they I think and I told AC earlier in the stream, Sean Zattel or somebody that has a lot of credibility, more like a Bud Crawford, really. I think Bud will be the perfect person to call for a convention of boxers and trainers and managers, and we have legal counsel come in and sit down, explain the legislation, and we all have a conversation over whether it be a couple days, a week, however much time, and we get their demands on paper. And then we take it whenever that meeting takes place with TKO and the Saudis and the big time boxing promoters. You need to make sure that your voice is heard at that table. And if that is the point where you have to strike, then it is what it is. But I think that's the only way that their voices could be heard in that situation. And I agree with you. Boxers are pretty selfish. And you really can't blame them for being selfish when you look at the role models or the guys they've come up under, like a Floyd Mayweather. He was about maximizing the bag and giving everybody else his ass to kiss. So, but man, prayers for these boxers. But fellas, Pittsburgh T, I always enjoy having you up here. It's always fun, even though we disagree about a lot of things politically. Still, I don't like hearing an echo chamber. It's always great to have you up. I'm probably gonna be doing another stream this week. I hope you come through. You got any final words, Pittsburgh T?
Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe and share. That's what I would say. Everybody have a great night.
Nah, man, I appreciate you, Pittsburgh T. AC, my co-host, another great show. Any final words, my brother?
At the end of the day, whether people agree with me or disagree with me, I'm always willing to engage in the intelligent conversation. And at the end of the day, difference of opinions are always needed because I don't like talking in a bubble. I don't like sitting there and being involved in anything that after a minute may come across as a bunch of dudes just, preaching to the choir. So where I'm at with politics is we're in an interesting place. It's great to be alive during this time. It's troubling times, but it's also the type of stuff that I would only expect to see in a political comedy movie. So take that as it may. Like I said, art imitates life. So that's where I'll leave it. Hit that like button, subscribe, tune into the next one.
Absolutely, AC. I think we've been here before. I think we've been here multiple times before. I think we like to live with this belief that our country has always been unified and we've always been on the same page and we've always had cordial and respectful discourse when that's just not the case. We've had civil wars. We had a civil rights movement era where everybody was very pissed off and angry at each other. So this is the really this is par for the course with our politics and our political discourse, at least from what we've seen through the past 200 years of the republic. So I am very happy that I get to have you up here, AC. I'm very happy when everybody pulls up and they hear our thoughts and they get to go home and think about it themselves and maybe have their own conversations. And we are going to be back this week. I'm going to try to be back this Wednesday with another episode. I'm very busy during the week at my job, but I am going to try. A lot of my brothers have their streams today. I see how it's causing some scheduling issues. Right now, my guy, TD Sports Talk, he is live right now. Go over there and pull up on his channel. I'll say it once again, TD Sports Talk, hashtag STN. He is over there doing an interview with Hannah Gabriels, probably asking her some questions about the new legislation to amend the Ali Act. I highly recommend y'all head over there. But once again, AC, my brother, it was a pleasure having this discussion with you. And like I said, we're going to be back this week, okay?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Yes, sir.
Have you ever had a personal relationship with Donald Trump?
What do you mean by personal relationships?
Have you socialized with him?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today, I'm going to have to assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights, sir.
Have you ever had a
Senator Booker also said we should have bipartisan agreement. I think that's a great idea. We should have bipartisan agreement. How about we all come together and say, let's stop murders? How about we all come together and say, let's stop rape? How about we all come together and say, let's stop attacking pedophiles? Stop attacking pedophiles. Stop attacking pedophiles. Stop attacking pedophiles.
thing, you know. How about no?